Welcome to Saving Sunday. This is Forrest out in St. Louis. Very quickly, I'm going to go over a topic. I think I've been doing a little bit of research, and if you haven't heard, I'm going to start doing some Forex training. I'm not doing training, I'm going to the training and getting educated on some Forex stuff that I'm absolutely excited about being able to plug into, learn how to use some software, learn how to analyze the Forex market. But wanted to talk about one of the things, and I'll back this up. One is I'm not a financial advisor. I used to be licensed with a securities license. Hey, Laura, thanks for swinging by with a securities license with a Series 6, 63, 7, Health, Life, all that stuff, and understood that. And this was back when the market was a little bit more funerific to deal with, and before it crashed, if you haven't ever seen a movie, I think I'm going to watch it again tonight. It's called The Big Short. Very interesting. It's based on a true story in the market. And the cool thing about it, with Bitcoin and Forex and all this stuff going on, Bitcoin is actually starting to really kick in now and make an impact. And it all has to do with the guys over at Tesla, which is cool. Sometimes it just takes one little spark to get something really going. On that, be very careful when you are looking into investing your money. Make sure that you have money. Hey, Kyle's into that kind of stuff, so he knows. So when you're making a decision to invest your money in whatever, Bitcoin, Forex, mutual funds, any of that kind of stuff, one is make sure you have money that you can light on fire. And when I say that is if it's your grocery money, you probably don't need to be investing it, right? Unless you have a whole bunch. I want a meal for my 2004 Impala. Well, here's how this is going to work. And Kyle, you'll catch right onto this. Hey, Carla, thanks for swinging by. So check this out. And I ran this and I was thinking about this. I'm 58 years old, right? Of course, going back 20 years ago, I would have been 38 years old. So I'm going to show you this really cool compound interest calculator. I'm going to talk about why I'm using the numbers. And I really want you to think, especially if you've still got 20 years to go, depending on what you want to do in your life, you've got some extra money laying around. This might be something fun to think about in terms of saving yourself up to have some money down the road. And it just, again, you got to be very disciplined with this stuff. You've got to think long term. You've got to do your homework. Of course, if you're going to buy a mutual fund or an investment or something like that, make sure you get a prospectus. Read that so you understand what you're doing. You need to understand how markets work. So it's very important that you get educated and get educated. Right. Don't invest what you can't afford to lose. Exactly. If you can't afford just to leave, walk out in the backyard, put it in the trash can, light it on fire, you probably don't need to be investing it. So strongly recommend you come up with a plan. Well, here's a plan. If you're a young person, and I'm going to say somebody just starting out, for example, my daughter, Krista, she's 27 years old. And the cool thing about that, oh God, I hope you're 27, Krista. She's somewhere in that range. 20 years from now, she's going to be 47, right? And I'm going to show you a calculator, and we'll just pretend this is my daughter, Krista. I'm going to do a quick screen share here. I'm going to show this with you just to get your brain, set your brain on fire a little bit, because everybody's trying to come up with some ways to make some extra money. But why not let your money work for you, right? So here's this, and this is where the car payment comes in, or where your car comes in handy, right? So, i.e., I let the cat out of the bag. It's your car payment. So imagine this. Imagine, rather than going out and buying yourself a brand new car and spending, $350, $400, because it's really hard now to get any kind of car that's a decent payment. For example, one of the rules of thumb that I use when I'm looking at a car payment, now you have to have really good credit. If you have above a 740 credit score, this is a good rule of thumb to apply, is take the first three numbers in the price of the car. Let's say the car is $25,000. Double that and add 10%. That's probably going to be your payment. So a $25,000 car over 60 months is going to be about $500 a month, give or take. It might be $490. It just depends on where you're at, but you're going to be hovering right around the $500 a month rate. Now, if you go do a lease, it's a whole nother deal. We're not going to talk about that, but that's a rule of thumb. If you're on a $40,000 car, you're not going to get a $250 payment unless you put a whole bunch of money down. I would never recommend putting money down on a car, period. You're lighting money on fire, because you're never going to get that money back, ever going to get that money back. Well, you own the car. 15 years from now, the car is going to be worth $2,000. So you're never going to get the money back. If you've got $25,000 you can put down on a car, invest it in something that you can make your money back over the same time period. Now watch this. Check this out. So you can see this is a compound interest calculator. This is actually over at nerdwallet.com. I looked it up, and you can see in here, starting out at $5,000 with a monthly contribution of $100 over a 5-year span at 0% interest rate. Of course, you'd have $11,000 in the bank because you have 5 times 100 is 6,000 plus 5,000 is $11,000. So let's say right now, let's turn this up and we'll say it's 10%, right? Well, Forrest, you're not going to get 10%. Watch me. I'm going to prove you wrong. So the 10% interest rate over 5 years. So this is where I have my car payment. Let's say I was going to put $5,000 down. Instead, I invested into a mutual fund, and I'll show you some of those here in just a second. And then my car payment, we'll say my car payment is, we'll say a moderate $300. Let's say you got a lower priced, lower end car over a 5-year period at 10%. You're now at $31,600 that you have in the bank in just 5 years. What would your life look like if you had $31,500 in the bank in 5 years? But this just changes. Since the government's handing out some money, right? This changed this initial investment to $1,400. Instead of running out to the car lot and buying a car, let's say you decide that you're going to keep that. And let's just talk about a car payment. Let's say you do end up with a $400 a month car payment. And let's say that you decide, like, you know what, I'm a young person. I'm going to actually wait. Instead of buying 2 cars, my first car would be over a 5-year period. Here's where I'm going with this. I'll stay on track. And let's say I'm still getting a 10% rate of return. I'm at $1,400, $400 a month. I'm at $33,000. But let's say this double that. Let's say that I'm not going to get a new car. Let's just say every time if I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to catch the bus or I'm going to Uber, right? Because I don't have a big ego and I don't really need a nice car. So let's say that I'm going to let that ride over a 10-year period. Now you would think that the price would double, right? It was $33,000 at 5 years. It's now $86,000. So your money has almost tripled, right? You're still investing $400 with an initial investment of $1,400, but you've got a 10% rate of return over 10 years. That's 2 cars. That's 2 cars that you would have spent money on that you would have gave to somebody else that you would have paid interest to the bank on, right? You would have paid interest to the bank on, right? You would have paid interest. Excuse me, make sure you're understanding this. You would have paid interest to the bank on. That's how they make their money. That's why they get rich and we don't, right? That's why we're the cash cows and they're not, right? So check this out. So $400 a month. Let's say that we're on our 3rd car, and let's say we're going to get our 3rd car here. Well, yo, I keep my cars a long time. So what? Let's say you do. Let's say you do have a clunker. Instead of making that car payment, right? You go out and you buy yourself a $5,000 car, and you decide to put that payment in the bank, or maybe you just got extra $400 a month hanging around, right? So here at 15 years at 10%, you're now at $173,400. You're not quite at the $250,000, but let's go ahead and push it out to 20 years. So she's 27 now. She decides she's going to invest $400 a month for the next 20 years at a 10% interest rate or 10% rate of return for 20 years. So at age 47, she would have over $250,000 in the bank to do whatever she wants to with. Absolutely cool. She's now in the retirement zone. But let's go take a look at some average rate of returns on some mutual funds. Let's say she wants to go to a little bit nicer and she wants to move that monthly investment up to $500 at a rate of return. So here's the average mutual funds. There's funds, you guys can look this up, look up, do your homework on these. Here's large cap funds. The year to date is 13.76. So let's go back and change this. And they always say the average mutual fund averages over a 20-year period, 12%. I just changed that by 2% from 10% to 12%. And now she's at $500,000 in the bank for a car payment over a 20-year period at $500 a month. That's absolutely awesome. So how do we bump this? Let's say that she decides that she wants to actually retire at 60. So let's just keep going. There's 26 years, 27 years, 28 years, 29, 30 years. So now she's 57. She's my age, right? She's now 57. I'm 58. She's 57 years old. She decided to put $500 a month with an initial investment of $1,400 into a mutual fund at 12% over 30 years. She's now 57 years old. She's got $1.8 million in the bank to do whatever she wants to with, instead of spending this money on a car payment or some other thing. Or maybe you do have an extra $500 just hanging out that you're not doing anything with. Here's some cool things, right? Here's average mutual funds. Here's a Vanguard fund, and you can come in and do your homework on this stuff. I think this is absolutely fantastic, fascinating. You can come in here, you can see average rate of return. You got to understand when you're investing into a mutual fund, right? When you're investing in a mutual fund or the stock market, you've got to be in it for the long term, long haul, over a long period of time. If you're expecting a 1 or 2, 3 year rate of return, it's probably not going to work out for you. If you've got some value, Share your takeaways below. If you didn't get any value, well, don't share those either. I love you. I appreciate you. Hope you got some value. Join me on April 3rd. Join me on April 3rd. There's a registration link going right across here. So it's going to be a really cool workshop. We're launching a Forex trading workshop you definitely want to be in. If you want to learn how to trade Forex, you want to learn how to make your money work for you, do that. I'm going to start looking at some of this stuff here because I want to put some more money in the bank. Got a little extra cash coming on the side from your network marketing company. Maybe you ought to start investing it. You want multiple streams of income, learn how to make the money learn how to use the money that you're making from your network marketing company and invest it in something so that you can start to have two forms of money going. So you've got your residual income and then you've got your residual income, right? So appreciate you, love you. I love you. Jesus loves you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Let's go out and just crush it, make a huge impact on our economy, make a huge impact on our lifestyles, make a huge impact on others, make an extreme impact, and be a legacy creator. Oh, see that? Extreme legacy creator right there. Absolutely cool deal. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.